14 at the bottom. It says Rabbeinu Avraham. Remember we were mentioning that there are different paths in Avodat Hashem, the serving of Hashem, the intimate, the common, and that in the intimate road there are many different levels. So it says Rabbeinu Avraham, V'hu adin b'shar darchei hayichidim haniskavot. The same principle applies to all of the intimate, lofty paths. Tchuma shel kol achat mehen, top of page 16, Rachav v'hevdel ben archim behen gadol v'rav. They can have a broad range, and the differences between those who walk along these roads are very broad as well. וכגודל ההבדל בין דרכם ושאר דרכים כן גודל השגתם את הפגיעה. And the same as there's varying levels of difference between the people who observe the intimate road, there's also many different levels of how much they attain a certain level of pagi'ah. Pagi'ah is a translation from Arabic, and pagi'ah in Hebrew literally means to hit, to bump into, kind of an encounter with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? And unfortunately, a terrorist attack is called a pigua, is an encounter not of the right kind. It seems like the goal behind attaining these high levels of the intimate road is to ultimately meet Hashem, to feel Hashem, to connect with Hashem. And so if somebody feels Hashem in a much deeper level, because his path is a much deeper path, it's obvious that he who's on a lower path will encounter Hashem in a much lower feeling or a much lower power when he encounters Hashem. וכך כל אימת שמבארים אנו מידה תרומית. And so too says Rabbi Avraham, whenever we describe a lofty character trait, כגון הפרישות והענווה, such as abstinence or humility, הבן תבין הקורא, כי יש בדרגות הרבה בין אם בארנו מקצתן ובין אם לאו. So to understand that there's a broad range of levels, whether or not we provided them. כי אין דומה פרישות אליהו ואלישע לפרישות שאר הנביאים. Says you cannot compare the abstinence of prophets like Eliyahu and Elisha with the rest of the prophets even. ואין דומה ענוות משה לענוות כל אדם, and the humility of Moshe is unlike any other person's humility in the whole world. So just that there were different levels then, there are different levels today, and all kinds of character traits. For those who in their controlling of anger, there are different levels. Some are angry, and they forget about their anger. Some are angry, and they don't forget about their anger, but they don't act on their anger. Some are angry, but they only scream, they won't hit him. Some are angry, and they'll scream and hit him. So different levels of anger, and every character trait in the world can be broken up into these levels of, so how high of a level, how lofty of a level is this person on their intimate road. And finishes Rabbeinu Avraham, ve'achar hakdamot elu, and after these introductions, נאמר, we will say, כי רוצים אנחנו לבאר מה שהבינונו מתוך דרכי החוקות הנזכבות המיוחדות הללו. We wish to explain to the best of our understanding these intimate paths of the Torah. דבר דבור על אופניו, every detail where it belongs. כי מה שבארנו מזה בחלקים הקודמים, because what we explained in the previous chapters, which by the way we don't have, לא היה אלא המשך לביאור כל מצווה ומצווה שביארנו. יש מצווה אחת תביא לידי כמה דרכים מיוחדות. It could be that one mitzvah will lead to many different paths. כדרך שמצינו בעניין שבת ויום טוב וכיוצא בהם. Like we found about Shabbat. Remember there were 3 different levels of people who kept intimate road of Shabbat. וכאן רצוננו לבאר כי אפשר שדרך אחת תהיה תכליתן של כמה וכמה מצוות. It could be that a single path might be the objective of many mitzvot. כמו שבארנו בעניין הפרישות בהקדמה השלישית, בהקדמות החלק הזה, like we explained regarding abstinence, but again we don't have that part of the book. I want to maybe just explain what Rabbi Avraham was trying to tell us. Very often in Judaism we learn halakha and we say, where's my individuality in this halakha? I feel like I'm doing what everyone else is doing. I'm eating like everyone else is eating, I'm praying like everyone else is praying, I wrap my tefillin like everyone else is wrapping tefillin. I want to have tie-dye talit, and I want to have tefillin that are yellow because I don't like the black ones. I don't know, whatever a person decides. I want to show off that I don't even eat carrots on Shabbat because carrots remind me of weekdays. Whatever somebody would come up to. Rabbeinu Avraham is trying to stress here 2 points. One is that quality is always much more important than quantity. And it's not the Judaism that's being taught on the street today. The Judaism that's taught on the street is quantity, and it's not even true that such a thing exists, but it's being sold as you can do more of a mitzvah than somebody else, more kosher than somebody else, more Shabbat than somebody else. You can add on another hour at the end of Shabbat, or you can choose to not eat that rabbi's food, all kinds of things people want to make up. That says
it's almost like Americanization, it's like supersize. Like, go and get I want, large, extra large, very,
it's a big
supersize my fries, big gulp my drink.
It's an interesting observation.
I used to call it the Judaism of champions.
Okay, so this is a good, it's a good, maybe,
Mayor Abasera.
And it could be that this is the idea. It could be this is the society that influences such a mentality.
No, he passed away.
But it's not a correct approach. And rather, what makes a person greater is their intimate road, the road about them that is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's unique to who they are. Everybody has to keep Shabbat. Everybody must keep kosher. It's what you do with Shabbat and kosher that makes you a different person than someone else. And what you do with Shabbat and kosher is not something that you wear on your sleeve or you show off to your friends, or that's not the point of doing any of these things. And
They said about that Ish Chai that he liked to be with all of his Jews in his community. So when it came time for him to do his kavanot or tehillim, he would just put his head in his hand, pretend he was sleeping.
many Mekubalim would do such things.
Yeah, but they would not make a show of it, see, the rabbi is
super
tired.
holy.
Right.
Well, they say he's tired.
In this case, he would say, well, he's resting, he's tired, but he was doing holy work.
And Rabbeinu Abraham's approach is perhaps the most correct approach. His approach of increase the quality, don't increase the quantity. And when you come to quality, we're going to talk tomorrow night about chumrot, about stringencies, and where they have a place. Do they even have a place? I just recently had the honor, it was the honor of a displeasure, I don't know which one it was, to have this discussion with a group of people. And I ended the conversation with them after maybe 3 hours of talking.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Here?
That's a long time.
Wherever it was. And I told them that it pains me to tell them this, but I believe entirely what it is that they're saying. I believe that they believe what they're saying. I believe very much that what they're doing is what they've been taught to do. But I'm sad to say that I don't believe that them and I observe the same religion. And that we are just on two totally different roads. And perhaps the best way to avoid such a conflict would be just to call it that we're not on the same path. We're not studying the same Torah. Could be the same words, but not the ideology that pushes us and motivates us is entirely different. And it's not in a hateful way, but I said it upsets me that you're acting this way because I think you're perverting my Torah. It upsets you that I'm acting this way because you think I'm perverting your Torah. So perhaps we're really not following the same Torah. And obviously it could perhaps be a very simple way to end such a conversation. But it could be that we are so far into this mess that very few people want to take themselves out. And it would be much better for those who wish to take themselves out of this mess that we call 21st century Judaism, which is a mess, by the way. No matter which denomination you ask, everyone will agree that Judaism is a mess. We just have to know that we have, Baruch Hashem, different rabbis, different leaders, different tzaddikim that led us down a very different road of Avodat Hashem.
Well, it's a time of extremes. It's like one extreme is like it's a Shulam Din, right? Went all the way out because he wasn't allowed to question within the structure of the Torah. So it's like if it's one extreme or the other, people don't know about that there's another way of doing it.
Absolutely.
That brings them to their own individual connection and their own path within.
Well, I had a discussion now about this idea you're mentioning. As you read this book, I didn't read the book, but my wife read the book. This book by Sholem Din, who was a Skver Chassid who left everything, and a large part of leaving was the fact that in this group that he was a part of, things which are absolutely allowed according to Jewish law are not allowed under the guise of Judaism. And essentially, when I'm taught that wearing nail polish is the same thing as eating pig on Yom Kippur, so if a girl's anyways going to put on nail polish at some point in her life, and so she might as well also eat on Yom Kippur. So it becomes this huge package deal, and this is perhaps where we worry about communal norms becoming halakha, and this is a very dangerous problem. And I actually had a discussion recently with another person about this week. And I asked a very simple question.
Where are you hanging out?
I'm hanging out with good people, good people.
The whole community
Hashem.
like that.
I
The whole community.
asked the question to people that were good people, good Jews. And I said, why do you have a hard time eating at so-and-so's house? Okay, he's a Torah scholar. And they told me, because not every Torah scholar do we trust the kashrut of their food. I said, why not?
Could it be a Torah
Do
scholar?
you agree that they're a Torah scholar? Yes. So why don't you trust the kashrut of their food? Because we practice a different standard of kashrut. I said, I understand. I understand that you do. Why do you do that? Because in our community, this is the standard. I said, okay, but when you're not in your community, by default, you're sitting at another Torah scholar's house. How could you sit there and not eat something because you have a standard that's higher than the Torah scholars? And I pushed them up against the wall to the point where they had to admit that they don't truly believe the other person's a Torah scholar because they don't keep the same standards of kosher. They don't truly believe the other one eats kosher because if they did, obviously they would eat it. They don't truly believe that their stringencies are stringencies. They actually believe that they're a letter of the law, or else they would eat it when they're at the other Torah scholar's house. And I told them, I have to explain to you what's bothering me. I said, for 5,776 years, we Jews have been educated about one thing. In my house and in my community, if the community decides we want to get together and make a standard together, the community decided we want to do X or Y or Z, we have the right as a community to do such a thing. It's a standard. You're allowed to do such a thing if it doesn't violate halakha. But when that translates into lack of trust in another Torah scholar, I said, okay, the whole Judaism is founded on a belief that Torah scholars are Torah scholars. That when I go to a Talmid Chacham's house, that's not the place to impose my communal standards. And it's been a universal thing in our old country when Sfaradim traveled from Italy, from Morocco to Italy, and they had to print their books, and they passed through European countries on this way to collect money. They ate at everybody. You don't have stories of the Chida was in Poland and he didn't eat anybody's food because he was Moroccan. You never hear such stories. Because the standard that guided us for all of the years that we've been in, wherever we've been.
The Arizal went to Tzfat and said,
Right, I don't eat Sephardic food, or it never happened. But the reason it didn't happen, and the reason it sounds funny, because it goes against our very belief system. When we are with another person who's a God-fearing person, then we trust that what they're putting on the table in front of us is kosher. Oh, my house I would do different? Great, you're not in your house right now. And they told me, well, how can you call them a God-fearing person if they don't keep our standards of kashrut?
oops.
I said, so you would like to tell me that Rabbi so-and-so and Rabbi so-and-so and Rabbi so-and-so are not God-fearing people? They said, not according to our standards.
Oh, come on.
Okay. I mean, what can I
That's
have?
the opposite of Anabas.
What kind of
Moshe Rabbeinu
what else could I
meets
say
your
in this
standards.
conversation? What can I say?
Yeah.
They said, Rabbi, you truly believe in a world that if you would go to an Ashkenazi rabbi's house, you would eat his food without asking any questions? I said, I don't understand the question. Of course, it's a halakha in the Rambam. The Rambam says when you go to another Jew's house and say HaShamayim, you don't ask him questions about his food.
They check the refrigerator.
What is there to? It's another. I have to trust the person at the end of the day. They said, well, you live in this utopian naivety. They told me. Okay, I'm glad to be naive. It's a good thing, B'ezrat Hashem. But don't let people knock you down when what you believe in is correct. Rabbi Avraham, if we would go to his house, I don't know any Jew aside from us around this table who would eat in Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam's house. Not because he wasn't kosher. He probably didn't even have a sink, so to have two sinks is already out of the question.
When the Leviathan feast comes for Sukkot,
They have different hechshers.
they'll have different extras, and people will sit, with the rod in one place.
Shem Yishmor.
There'll be those tables that are like way far away from the
Right.
rostrum, the ones next to the kitchen by the swinging doors by the kitchen.
With the mechitza around it. But the truth is, the best line I heard this week, I was reading a letter from Rabbi Yosef Masas, and he told the person who asked him a question, flawed in its point. He was a fanatic. The question was, the man sent to Rabbi Yosef Masas a book that he scares people into believing in Hashem and keeping Shabbat and keeping kosher. And Rabbi Yosef Masas writes him a whole letter. As the man, one of his things was, but I have sources that prove what I'm saying. Rabbi Yosef Masad says, those people have just as wild of an imagination as you do. The big rabbis, so Rabbi Yosef Masad ends the letter, said, I pray that Hashem should save us from you, and that He should save you from yourself. Signed, Rabbi Yosef Masad.